Now, you can't really talk about Waiheke Whisky without discussing their very unique stills.
In fact, I think there's a photo of me floating around when I encountered these guys at a recent
you can check
expo.
out the Single Malt View Instagram or Facebook pages for a photo of Tim with a model of the still. Because, whereas most stills are your traditional round bell shape, Waiheke's stills are much more geodesic. Lots of triangles, lots of flat surfaces, in order to maximise the ratio of kind of surface area to volume. It has as much contact between copper and whiskey as possible. The effect is something that resembles rather much the classic tabletop game as dice, your old D20 or D12, for those who are in the know. But yeah, imagine a very, as you'll see from my photos, which Tim is about to edit in, of course, a very curiously angular, quite elegant looking piece of kit.
Yeah. Interestingly, as someone with a slightly mechanical eye, allows them to be made with rivets rather than having to beat them or have the heavy industry required to knock out the modern sort of typical ones. Though they were made with help from Speyside copper ones, wasn't it?
Over in Elgin.
So aspects of them, and maybe the entirety of them, have come a very long way to be here. So. We're going to now look at the Moss, which is the first of their aged examples. And this one is, as I already forget, I have to look at my notes, is 5 years old, which is a lot older than I thought. I thought Waiheke were a really, really new producer, but they're not. They've been cooking away for around more than 10 years.
This is a lightly peated expression, again, that New Zealand peat. And for casks, referring to my notes, this is an primarily ex-bourbon offering.
Okay. So this should just be about as typical as we're going to see as a normal expression from Waiheke Whisky. So no note as to the colouring or chill filtration or lack thereof, but it's a pretty nice wee full golden colour there.
44% ABV, a good strength too.
It is, that's a nice strength. So let's see how this peat manifests when you've got a few years under the belt.
That is a delectably sweet, syrupy nose with just a hint of bit of some minerality, some brine, a bit of gravelly bite from the peat.
I'm getting quite an oily quality from this one.
Okay.
It's quite a rounded nose, and I won't really know till I taste it properly, but I'm getting a wee bit of, if one ignores the peat entirely, there's a wee bit of a cleanly element on this one.
It's making me think of some sort of botanicals, maybe some essential oils, some florals. Oh, I like the smell of it though.
Yeah, and the sweetness, that's clear, sort of bright sweetness, has gone nowhere from the new make. It's still large and in charge here. See on the palate. Oh, that is lush.
Yeah.
That is extremely lush.
There's so much fresh, hewn, damp wood coming through. There's syrupy sweetness. There are blossoms. There's fresh cut grass.
The blossoms huge. The floral component of this is pretty radical. Radical in a way that I don't think I've actually tasted in other whiskies. There is a...
that peat though, since it's such a contrast to traditional Scottish peat, it's reminding me of... This is actually taking me back to childhood. I grew up a couple hundred kilometres south of Waiheke Island, in the middle of Rotorua, in New Zealand's Bay of Plenty. We have quite warm summers, some lush forests, some redwoods. There was just a smell of just the leaf litter on the forest floor and the fresh greenery above you, flowers, birdsong, just a proper warm subtropical forest experience. And so much of it is coming through in here. The peat really sells it, but just adds a little bit of earthiness, it grounds it somewhat, so it's not just all flowers and sunshine and fruit. Yeah,
it's an interesting juxtaposition, because otherwise it's the on-top flavours coming through from the spirit are very, very floral. There's elderflower on here, which kind of blends with the sort of clear sweetness and does a real, almost an elderflower cordial kind of a note on there.
So I don't want to get hyperbolic, but this is probably one of the most interesting and complex 5-year-old whiskies I've ever had. I've tried a few which are this young, and this one is leaps and bounds ahead of whiskey which is substantially older.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty stuff. Now, originally I thought these were going to be super, super young, just because I didn't do my homework on just how long Waiheke had been producing. But these are proper whiskies. These are old enough. They are old enough to enter the competition. They are old enough to ride the ride. And so ride the ride they shall. We're going to score these ones from now on. Obviously,
And
we skipped that on the new make, but we don't score new make around here.
the Auckland environment being coastal, but it's ocean both sides, and at the north end of the country, it is warm all year round. Never gets quite as hot as the southern plains where we are in summer, but never gets as cold over winter either. It stays a steady temperature, so the effect being whiskey matures very quickly. Similar, not to the same extreme, as you get in Australia or India with their phenomenal whiskies. So this has aged a lot in its 5 years, and it's become an amazing whiskey.
Yeah, just about. Scores. This is 87 for me. No mucking around.
Yeah.
Tremendous start to the aged portion of the pack. What do you think?
I'm going straight in at 90.
Ooh.
The level of flavour here, the complexity, the richness, and the uniqueness of that local peat, it really sets it apart. It is something quite special. It's almost liqueur-y in its sweetness, but it's drawn back from that. And just there's a little bit of restraint, a bit of minerality, some down-to-earth, rich, soily, earthy mineral goodness.
It's, man. 90 straight out the gate.
Yeah.
It is. The whiskey has activated the Dave.
Yep. I'm definitely going to track some more of us down. I could do a full-size model for my shelf.
Okay. All right. Next one.